It's been over a month since the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan, two innocent children whose laughter once filled a quiet home in Pictou County, Nova Scotia. On May 2nd, 2025, what was supposed to be an ordinary morning became the beginning of a nightmare that is yet to end. 6-year-old Lily and her younger brother Jack, just 4, were reportedly last seen inside their family home around 8 a.m. They lived with their mother, Malia Brooks Murray, and their stepfather, Daniel Martel, a man now at the center of public scrutiny. According to Daniel, he had just stepped into the bathroom. By the time he came out, the children were gone. He claims they quietly slipped out through a sliding glass door. No noise, no goodbyes, no clues. It was as if they vanished into thin air. He says he searched around the property and surrounding woods for more than an hour before calling 911. But that timeline has raised more questions than answers. Could two small children, one of them barely out of toddlerhood, really have wandered off unnoticed? How did they open a heavy, sliding door without anyone hearing? And more disturbingly, why didn't the family dog, known to bark at every little sound, react? The RCMP immediately launched a search, combing through dense woodlands, wetlands, and trails with drones, helicopters, and canine units. But no trace of the children was found. Volunteers poured in from all over, hoping to find a lost shoe, a footprint, anything. But instead of answers, only silence has followed. The sun rose on that May morning with 2 children safe in their home. And by afternoon, the shadows had swallowed them. As suspicion slowly tightens its grip on the household, one haunting question echoes through the community. If Daniel Martel didn't see them leave, then who did? As days turned to weeks and the faces of Lily and Jack Sullivan stared back from missing posters across Nova Scotia, one man remained under an increasingly watchful eye. Daniel Martel, their stepfather and the last known adult to see them alive. With mounting public suspicion and a growing demand for transparency, Daniel made a surprising move. He volunteered to take a polygraph test. It was a gesture some believed of innocence, a man with nothing to hide. But others saw it differently, a calculated performance in the face of crumbling credibility. The RCMP later confirmed that Daniel did indeed undergo a lie detector examination. But what followed only deepened the mystery. When pressed by reporters about the outcome, authorities remained tight-lipped. "We are not at liberty to discuss the results of the polygraph at this time," one spokesperson stated. No confirmation, no denial, just silence. That silence has spoken volumes. Polygraph tests are notoriously inadmissible in court, but they often serve as an investigative tool, especially when law enforcement is weighing whether someone is being truthful. If Daniel passed with flying colors, why not say so? Why let public suspicion fester? Speculation spiraled. Did he pass, but reveal inconsistencies in his narrative? Did he fail, but not enough to make an arrest? Or is the RCMP strategically withholding information, hoping Daniel will slip up under pressure? Meanwhile, whispers have started to circulate in online forums and community vigils. Was the polygraph a smokescreen? A test of public opinion as much as of truth? For a man whose calm demeanor remains unsettling, the mystery around his test result only intensifies the spotlight. As the days without answers pile up, many are left asking, if the polygraph was clean, why isn't the RCMP saying it? In the case of Lily and Jack, even the truth seems to come wrapped in shadow. It was the kind of morning that should have been ordinary. Birds sang over rural Pictou County, and the quiet hum of spring drifted through the trees. But May 2nd, 2025, would become anything but ordinary. It was the day 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack were last seen alive. According to Daniel Martel, their stepfather, the children vanished in a moment of distraction. He claims he was attending to their infant sibling when Lily and Jack slipped out of the house unnoticed, through a sliding door left slightly ajar. A mistake, he says, that changed everything. But what happened in the minutes and hours that followed has become a cornerstone of public suspicion. Daniel didn't call 911 immediately. He says he spent a significant amount of time searching, alone. Woods, culverts, trails. He combed the thick, wet terrain behind their home. believing he'd find them just around the next bend. When he did finally call emergency services, it was after 10 a.m. Some say the delay cost precious time. Others argue it may have been deliberate. Why wait to involve the authorities? Why not alert neighbors? Why not call family? These are the questions haunting the community. Some defenders of Daniel say panic can cloud judgment. That in a moment of fear, people don't always act rationally. But critics, including some family members, suggest that Daniel's behavior that morning was far too calm, far too calculated. They point out inconsistencies in his recounting of the timeline and note his unusual composure during interviews with police and media. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police haven't publicly challenged Daniel's account, but they haven't confirmed it either. Their focus has shifted from broad searches to forensic investigation and interviews. Now, every word Daniel spoke about that morning is being scrutinized. Every action or inaction analyzed. As the search drags on and the silence grows heavier, one chilling question remains. Was May 2nd truly a tragic accident, or was something far more sinister hiding in the stillness of that quiet morning? While search teams trudged through forests and investigators pieced together timelines, another mystery quietly unfolded, one that drew almost as much attention as the missing children. Malihia Brooks Murray, the children's mother and Daniel Martel's partner, vanished from the public just days after reporting her kids missing. On May 6, 2025, 4 days after the children were last seen, she packed up and left the family home with their infant daughter. No press conferences, no media pleas, no social media posts, just silence. To many, it was a baffling move. The mother of 2 missing children, gone in the midst of a desperate search. While Daniel remained in the public sphere, answering limited questions, cooperating with police, Malihia removed herself entirely. RCMP confirmed her departure but offered few details. Officially, she was not considered a suspect. And yet, whispers grew. Why leave? Why now? What does she know? Some argued it was grief, that a mother overwhelmed by tragedy needed space to breathe. Others weren't so sure. Theories swirled online, ranging from fear of scrutiny to fear of someone closer. Her silence became a vacuum filled by speculation. Adding fuel to the fire were reports that Malihia and Daniel had given differing versions of the events leading up to the children's disappearance. Sources close to the investigation confirmed timeline discrepancies. Still, neither parent was officially cleared, and Malihia's sudden exit only deepened the fog. Journalists attempted to reach her, but she has not responded. No public statements, no televised appeals for information. She has vanished into a silence that feels both protective and damning. Was she running from public judgment or from a deeper truth? As the investigation unfolds, her absence looms large. In the search for Lily and Jack, every missing piece matters. And the biggest question now may not be just where the children are, but why their mother left when they needed her voice the most. It's not a courtroom, but it might as well be, because ever since Daniel Martel took to the airwaves, every word he's spoken has become evidence in the court of public opinion. Roughly a week after Lily and Jack Sullivan vanished, Daniel gave a series of interviews, some formal, some on independent podcasts. In one particularly emotional appearance, his voice cracked as he recounted the morning of May 2nd. He said he'd turn away for just a moment, and the children slipped out of the house unnoticed. The sliding door, he claimed, must have been unlocked. I searched every inch before I called 911, he said. I thought I could fix it before it became real. At first glance, his pain seemed raw and sincere. But the internet did what it does best, picked apart every sentence, every hesitation, every misplaced word. Linguistic analysts and amateur sleuths flagged red flags. He repeatedly distanced himself from the children, using phrases like "those kids" rather than "my girls" or "our babies." He referred to their disappearance as something that happened to us, rather than something he witnessed or experienced directly. More troubling, some noted how calm and calculated he seemed in longer interviews, like a man trying to control a narrative. He offered unsolicited details, jumping ahead in the story before being prompted. Was it transparency or a script? Then came the most chilling line. If this turns out how I think it will, no one's going to forgive me. He quickly walked it back, saying he meant the pain would be too great, not guilt. But the damage was done. Is Daniel a heartbroken stepfather grasping for answers? Or a man carefully managing a version of the truth? In missing persons cases, silence is one form of suspicion, but sometimes so is speaking too much. And in Daniel's case, his words may reveal more than he realizes. It's the cornerstone of Daniel Martel's account, the explanation he's offered since day one. According to him, 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack simply slipped out through the back sliding door while he was briefly distracted. A quiet, tragic accident. No foul play, just a terrible mistake. But as investigators, experts, and an increasingly skeptical public examine the timeline, cracks begin to show in the theory. Daniel claims he was busy tending to the baby while the older children wandered off, sometime between breakfast and 10 a.m. on May 2nd. The sliding door, he says, was unlocked. There was no sign of struggle, no broken glass, no indication of a forced exit. But questions quickly piled up. For starters, why didn't the family dog, said to be protective and alert, make a sound? Neighbors who lived just steps away said they heard nothing. No barking, no children's voices, no cries, nothing. And then there's the terrain. The home is surrounded by thick woods and a pipeline trail, rugged, muddy, and uneven. It had rained recently, yet no small footprints were found. No disturbances in the underbrush. Not a single sighting of 2 young children walking, alone, through the dense wilderness. Could 2 kids that young really make it out undetected? Could they traverse forest paths without leaving a trace? RCMP search teams used tracking dogs, thermal drones, and ground crews. Still nothing. Even more curious, Daniel himself never mentioned seeing the door open. He only assumed it. No fingerprints, no handprints, no smudges on the glass from small fingers. No sign of the children preparing to leave. No packed bag, no shoes missing. As theories swirl online, one thing is clear. The sliding door may not be just a detail. It might be a carefully chosen doorway into a version of events meant to keep the rest closed. And the deeper the world looks into that door, the more it begins to wonder, did Lily and Jack walk out, or were they taken? It's been weeks since Lily and Jack Sullivan vanished, and in the small, tightly knit towns around Pictou County, Nova Scotia, people are no longer just searching the woods, they're searching for answers. And in hushed conversations over coffee and on late-night message boards, many are asking the same haunting question. What if Daniel knows more than he's saying? At first, there was sympathy. Daniel Martel, the children's stepfather, appeared devastated. He gave interviews. He wept on camera. He joined search efforts. By all appearances, he was a man trying to hold a fractured family together in the wake of a nightmare. But as the days turned into weeks with no trace of Lily or Jack, sympathy gave way to skepticism. Some locals stand by Daniel. He was always kind, one neighbor said. He loved those kids like his own. To them, he's being unfairly scrutinized. Another grieving parent caught in a maelstrom of media and speculation. He's passed a lie detector test, they say, though RCMP won't confirm the results. And he's remained in the public eye, not hiding, not fleeing. Others aren't so sure. Whispers swirl through grocery store aisles and school parking lots. People talk about his version of events not adding up. They ask why the dog didn't bark, why he delayed calling police, why the kids left without shoes or supplies. They question his emotional interviews, too polished, too rehearsed, too off. The police have maintained a careful tone. He is cooperating. But cooperation isn't innocence. It's a word that leaves room for doubt. Meanwhile, online forums have become battlegrounds. Reddit threads and Facebook groups dissect Daniel's every word, analyzing body language and motive. Some even float darker theories about custody battles, resentment, or something buried far deeper than anyone imagined. The result is a community quietly divided, a town trying to stay united, but split by the one man at the center of a mystery with no resolution. And as long as the children remain missing, one truth remains. Until Lily and Jack are found, no one is above suspicion. It's now been over a month since Lily and Jack Sullivan vanished without a trace. The thick forests of Pictou County no longer echo with the frantic footsteps of search teams. The drones have gone quiet. The dogs are back in their kennels. But the case remains open, and so do the questions. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, has confirmed that the investigation is still active under their Major Crimes Unit. But new updates have been scarce. What they know, what they suspect, and what they're waiting for, they're not saying. All possibilities remain on the table. Officials repeat, but that's cold comfort for a public desperate for clarity. And in the center of the storm stands Daniel Martel. He's done interviews. He's shown emotion. He's claimed innocence. But one fact remains unshakable. Lily and Jack were last seen in his care. And despite the hours of footage, forensic efforts, polygraphs, and wilderness combs, no solid lead has emerged. Some believe Daniel is simply a heartbroken stepfather caught in the most tragic of storms. Others are convinced that he knows more than he's telling, that the truth is buried in the silence, between the pauses in his podcasts, or in the timeline he gave police. Even Malihia Brooks Murray, the children's mother, remains largely out of the public eye. She took their infant and left the family home just days after the disappearance. Her silence only fuels more speculation. The questions hang heavy in the air. What happened that morning? Did the children really wander out unseen? What role, if any, did Daniel truly play? As the town tries to move forward, the story lingers like a shadow no one can shake. The woods may be quiet now, but the storm isn't over. Not until the children are found. Not until every secret is dragged into the light. And so, we leave you with this. What is Daniel not saying? And will the truth ever come out? If you're new here, subscribe for more deep dives into real-life mysteries and unfolding true crime stories. Your support helps bring attention to the forgotten, the missing, and the silenced.